Oh, hey you! Perfect timing. Can we talk? What do you think of the people of Retem? Of course! Me too! When we first got here, I thought all of them were really super scary. Fighting is part of life for them, so they give off this total only the strong survive vibe. Or like, they really believe that might makes right. Remember how uptight they were when we got here and Renus Retem attacked? They acted like they couldn't be bothered with some outsiders like us. But after getting to know them, I know that's not how they really are. When I made the effort, I found out that they're really kind. They even showed me how to survive in the desert. They told me all about which enemies I should be aware of, where to find food, and all kinds of other really helpful advice. A lot of them also asked me about Alio. They haven't interacted with the outside world much, but they are interested in it. It's just that they've been so busy fighting that they didn't have time for much else. And even their strongest fighters never brag. They look out for each other, protect the weak, and help those in need. Oh, and they also talked about Nadara a lot. I could really tell that they were doing everything they could to support her. Not only do they respect her, but they completely trust her to lead them. I can really feel how united all the people of Retem City are. When I stopped to think, it made me realize that the people of Alio Town are the same. I almost feel like I found my new hometown. Which means I need to do my part to be a contributing member of Retem Arcs too. I know I can do it! Oh, is that you? Were you listening just now? I was practicing singing. I try to do it where no one can hear me, but I guess you found me. Nadara's singing was so beautiful. She's such a good fighter and a good singer. It's no fair. Hattie and the others were amazing too. I still need practice. It would be so much fun to sing with everyone. Lately, I've been talking with Nadara often, and singing comes up a lot. When it comes to singing, she takes her practice just as seriously as her combat training. She's always trying to figure out how to best convey her emotions through her songs. Even though she lost the power of song and didn't sing publicly for a while, she told me she was still practicing the whole time. She is a really hard worker. I think that's exactly why everyone is so supportive of her. Manon said she didn't think that Nadara's singing would have any effect on us. But I feel like I can do anything when I hear her sing. Now that I think of it, we all used to sing in Town too. We used to sing and let it all out. Then we'd get a good night's sleep and be all ready for the next day. I think maybe song has a lot of power to begin with. I wish I could be like that. I wish I had some sort of special talent that I could use to help people. Oh, that reminds me. Once when I talked to Nadara, she let me see her room, and it's, well, it was super cute. She has little pink Rappy dolls all over her bed and stuff. They're everywhere. I wonder where she got all that stuff. Maybe one of her attendants made them. Or maybe she did? Oops. She made me swear I wouldn't tell anyone about her room. Sorry, forget I said it.
The signal is... Theoretically, it should be like this. Oh, when did you get here? You surprised me again. You're pretty good at doing that. I'm trying to learn more about photon tuners. Of course, I got permission from the people of Retem first. What I really want to know about these tuners isn't so much how they work, but... I'm more interested in Nadara's power of song that they broadcast. Her ability has something to do with the relationship between her internal and external photons. Which would mean that it's something pretty similar to a technique. But a technique with that kind of area of effect would require an incredible amount of photons. I don't see how anyone could pull that off all by themselves. So, I thought I might start by looking into these devices. But no luck, I guess. From what I've been able to gather so far, the tuner amps are not very powerful. So, what that means is that Nadara herself is generating the vast majority of it. It's possible that she's tapping into some power even more basic than that used for techniques. I'm wondering if it might be what's known as magic. That's a good idea, but I get the feeling that she may not understand it very well herself. But what we do know is that the power of song only passed down through her family line. And her power manifests differently than that of her ancestors. In fact, now I remember her saying that her feelings come through in her songs. For example, the feeling that she didn't want her people to get hurt was stronger than her feeling that she wanted them to fight harder. That had an effect on enemies and weakened them. No, I still need more data before I can even formulate a hypothesis. Regardless, it's impossible to totally quantify something like emotion. If it turns out that it's not possible to explain her power scientifically, then it has to be something supernatural.
It's you. I haven't seen you in Retem since the battle with Renus. Hattie and the others wanted to get my advice and called me here. But I'm done with that now, and I'm just taking a little breather. Hattie and I have known each other a long time. I remember that day long ago. Our squad was on an expedition to Retem, and we came under a massive Dolls attack. That's when I met Hattie for the first time. Our guys were hurting pretty bad, but Hattie's squad was even worse off. Hattie is a brave and capable Arks defender, but that day, he'd spread himself a little thin protecting his comrades. And then the Dolls attacked him from all sides. I lent a hand and helped get him out of a bad scrape. And we've been good friends and comrades in arms ever since. I guess we just understand each other. We're both castes and we're both loyal supporters of our leaders. When the war was going really bad in Retem, and none of us could even get away to go help, we lost touch for a while. But now we're close again, just like old times. And it's entirely thanks to you three again. I'm truly grateful.
You, is it? The enemies here are no match for me. Perfect timing. There is something I require your help with. I would like to ask you about the relationship we will be building between Retem and Aelio. Now that we will be cooperating, it would be proper for us to learn more about each other. I am not very familiar with the ways of Aelio, however. Other than military affairs, I know little of its culture and customs. As we are personally acquainted, I thought I could practice some cultural exchange with you. Come now, don't worry. Nothing more difficult than some simple conversation, just as we are doing now. What do you think? Is that so? Very good then. With Manon, I have had some exchanges about technological matters and the like. But I have not had much opportunity to speak with Aina. How should I phrase this? There are not many in Retem with a temperament such as hers. I find myself at a loss as to how to start a conversation. How do you usually interact with her? What are her interests, for example? My singing? I suppose I could talk about that. I see. This has been useful. My thanks. Do you have a moment now? I'd like to know more about you as well. Let me see. What shall I ask? That's not it. I cannot seem to master it. Who is that there? You, is it? You are quite skilled at making yourself invisible. Impressive. Practicing? Yes, well, I suppose you could call it that. It is my dance lesson. I say lesson, but I no longer have a teacher. My family's gift is the power of song. But that power is not derived from singing alone. Only when song and dance combine as one does the true power manifest. That is what my mother always taught me. Singing aside, dance has always been a weak point of mine. Oh, how my mother used to scold me during my lessons. When I stopped singing in front of others, I stopped dancing as well. Now that I am singing publicly again, however, I can no longer neglect my dancing. And so I make the time to train myself daily in the art of dance. But having said that, however, I still find it difficult to be watched. If my dancing skills were a little more polished, I could perform for you and ask for your feedback. Or perhaps you could dance with me. Yes, that does sound interesting. But let's save that for another time. Before I can reveal my song and dance, I need to be certain that I've mastered them first. When that time comes, I want you to be there. Goodbye now. Oh, and no more peeping from behind boulders. It's you. I was hoping I might talk to you, if it's not an imposition. It was an arduous battle. Of course, it's not over yet, but at the very least, we've reached a major milestone. In this seemingly endless battle against Retem, so many have given their lives in this struggle. If we had continued to fight on, alone, without accepting your help, I have no doubt we would have been defeated. The people of Retem have long relied on their own strength alone to solve their problems. We asked for help from no one. We were proudly self-sufficient. It was always thought that that was best. In this land covered in sand and surrounded by mountains, cut off from the outside world, our perspective became limited as well. When the three of you arrived here, many of our people viewed you with little but skepticism. Some even suggested that joining together with you in battle would dishonor us. In truth, it was because of these opinions of my people that I refused your offer at first. When I look back on it, such pride was foolish. You helped us realize the error of our thinking. You came to this faraway land and proved that your methods are effective. Seeing this, Jalil and Mohsen had a change of heart. And in truth, so did I. Allow me to offer you my gratitude once again. I cannot thank you enough for rescuing Retem from this danger. There is truth in that. Every single time I come here, I always feel such a deep sense of shame. That feeling has not changed. But at least now I can tell them that they are finally victorious. The struggles of our predecessors have made us what we are today. And in the end, victory is ours. I can tell them that their deaths were not in vain. And the emotions I feel when I sing have begun to transform as well. By the way, there is something I have been meaning to ask you. How did it come to be that Manon knew the Song of Mourning? I see. I wanted to ask her about it. The song has such significance. I was wondering if there was some reason she knew it. Well, we've chatted at length. That's enough for now, I think. Why don't we pay our respects together?
Greetings. What do you say? Would you like to hear an old story of mine? Good. I've never really liked this place. This Alnotha. It brings back memories of that day, you see. I remember well that day that Nadara sang in front of everyone. The entire audience fell silent as the color drained from Nadara's face. In a panic, I cleared the venue, but Nadara just stood there in silence, her shoulders trembling. Never once before or since have I seen her like that. Everyone had simply assumed that she had the power of song. It had always been passed down from parent to child. It's a power not to be displayed without proper decorum. Especially not when the wielder was young, before it had been fully mastered. When Nadara was very young, she would only ever sing in front of her mother, Aldelia. Back then, Aldelia once spoke with me in regards to Nadara's power. She said that one day, Nadara's abilities would surpass her own. Now that Aldelia is gone, I can no longer ask her what she meant by that. But what I think Aldelia sensed was not Nadara's power of song exactly, but I think she was just confusing her own power with Nadara's, as it resonated with Nadara's singing abilities. In any case, from that day forward, until you people came along, no one truly understood Nadara's power. Of course, I've already told you the story of how Nadara behaved after that. She threw herself into studying the art of war, as if to make up for what she lacked. In an attempt to support her, we also threw ourselves into the pursuit of raw strength. Once Nadara stopped singing, the musical culture of Retem sadly began to die out. Day after day, all we did was fight enemies and fall down exhausted at night. And then wake up and do it all again. At the rate we were going, Retem arcs would inevitably burn out. But just as I was beginning to become seriously worried, you arrived in Retem so gallantly. These folks will bring about a change for us. Looking back, it seems strange I was so convinced without any evidence. But when I saw you fight, that's what I thought. Of course, you know better than anyone what happened after that. Nadara's true power manifested itself, and Renis Retem was finally suppressed. And then music returned to Retem. Thank you again for everything you've done. Exactly. And Retem arcs can't do without either one. It took many, many years for all of us to realize it. And now, thanks to all of you, it isn't painful for me to come to this place anymore. We are in your debt. And now it's our turn to try and repay you. If you ever need anything, please do not hesitate. Ah, it's you. Standing here with you like this, it makes me remember that day. I mean the day that I first met you folks. This is the one and only trade route between Retem and Aelio. I've met all kinds of people here. This is also where I first ran into Dozer as well. I remember it clearly. Back then, just like today, there was a large incursion of dolls in the area. We had people out here on patrol each and every day. And then, one day, my squad and I were here scouting around, and we came under sudden attack. We were heavily outnumbered, and little by little, the enemy closed in on us. I put my guys behind me and tried to protect them to the best of my ability. Before I knew it, I fought my way through countless enemies and found myself at the edge of the fight. And that's when I noticed. In addition to me and my squad, there were others here fighting the dolls as well. It was Dozer and his squad. At the time, his attention was entirely on the enemy directly in front of him. He apparently hadn't noticed that another dolls unit was sneaking up behind him. So, I instantly mowed that enemy down and got Dozer out of a bad scrape. And, well, we've been good friends and comrades in arms ever since. Tell Dozer? Why would I? But perhaps you're right. It would be pleasant to talk over old times. There was a period when the fighting was so intense that we lost touch for a while. But as of late, there have been more opportunities to talk to him and the others from Alio again. We used to discuss military matters exclusively, but now we talk about everyday topics too. And you know, it's all thanks to you three. I'm truly grateful. Greetings. The Alio people have asked me to investigate the lower level of Maquad, so here I am. I was enjoying the breeze and collecting my thoughts. As you of course already know, there's a broad open space at the bottom of this pit. And that space is filled with rows of large buildings. Old documents have these various structures labeled as energy plants. In other words, structures that house devices capable of producing energy. Until now, Retem couldn't spare any manpower to learn more than that about Maquad. As far as we were concerned, the place was always little more than the lair of Renus Retem. But now, as it turns out, we have a little more time on our hands. So Alio asked that someone come and examine the place further. I've always been curious about it, so naturally I volunteered. Lately, Alio has been sending a survey team of its own to conduct all kinds of investigations. They even allowed me to help with things I've never even done before. It's been slow going, but I am learning more and more about the plants. For example, did you know that some of those facilities are still operating? And apparently the energy produced at those plants even helps supply Retem City. The plants require no maintenance whatsoever. They simply keep operating forever on their own. I could never even imagine such feats of engineering. But to think that our lives were being powered by energy created in the enemy's stronghold, truth really is stranger than fiction. I learned something else, too. Some traces of something having to do with the dolls were found in the Maquad facilities. Their investigation is still ongoing. All I've heard is that body tissue consistent with dolls units was found in some of the facilities. We had always made the assumption that the dolls simply found that big pit and decided to inhabit it. But if there is a deeper relationship between the dolls and those buildings, then something is definitely fishy. At this point, all we can do is speculate. I will be sure to let you know if I'm able to learn anything further. It's kind of nice, actually. finding something else that could pique my interest as much as combat or music does. In a better world, perhaps I might have been a research scientist. One never truly knows down which path fate will lead him.